6 bites, 10 attacks. And when you hear the details, you're going to think, what is, as I said, what is going on over there? I was talking, I think it was on this update a few weeks ago, and I made the point the Secret Service is treated like dirt by the Bidens. And I didn't even know this was coming when I said it. But talk about confirmation. Now these documents, when I read these documents, or I guess I didn't, our investigator, obviously got the documents through litigation, and then what happens is they are reviewed, and I get a report about what's in them, and I get to look at the documents themselves, obviously. And I tell you, I've read probably hundreds of thousands of documents in my time here at Judicial Watch. And these were pretty darn shocking in terms of them being pretty memorable. And because they document Joe Biden's dog, Commander, attacking Secret Service agents time and time again on White House property and at his home in Delaware. And this is, I think, my first reaction that I recorded earlier this week.
Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with some news. The Secret Service just gave us documents that show that Joe Biden's dog, Commander, has attacked Secret Service personnel repeatedly at the White House. At least 10 incidents, one of which led to a uniformed Secret Service officer being sent to the hospital. I don't know what's going on over there in the Biden White House, that the family thinks that their dog should be able to attack 10 or so Secret Service agents, the folks who are defending their lives without much being done about it. Well, something was done about it. The Secret Service tried to cover it up, and it was Judicial Watch heavy lifting in court that exposed this scandal of abuse of Secret Service personnel by the Biden family, and now we know by the Secret Service itself. Some terrible personal dark corruption going on over there in the Biden White House.
I mean, it's hard to argue otherwise, isn't it? So Judicial Watch obtained these documents under a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, so they were not voluntarily disclosed to Judicial Watch. We had to sue for them. We had first uncovered that the dog Major, Biden's first German Shepherd, at least that he had at the White House, was attacking Secret Service agents in a much more significant and broad way than the White House had admitted to. So they were lying about Major's attack on Secret Service agents. And Judicial Watch had exposed that through FOIA lawsuits and investigations. And the White House essentially was forced, because of this, to remove Major from the White House, and they got this new dog, Commander. So last year, Judicial Watch got a tip from, I'm not going to tell you where the tip came from, but we got a tip that Commander, the new dog, was also doing something that he shouldn't have been doing, which was attacking folks. So we asked for the records back in December, and they gave us the runaround. They didn't give us any documents, so we sued in April, and just recently they gave us the batch of documents. It's only about 194 pages. But they show that there were at least 10 attacks by President Joe Biden's German Shepherd, Commander, on officers and agents of the U.S. Secret Service between October 2022 and January 2023. And in several cases, the agents required medical care, including at a hospital. So when you think of the Secret Service, obviously there's a bunch of folks who work at the Secret Service. But when it comes to protecting the White House complex, there are two categories that I think you should be familiar with of personnel. You have the kind of the protective detail of the Secret Service. These are the big guys and gals in suits who are prepared to throw their lives down in defense of the president and the family and the staff there at the White House. So those are the guys you typically see and know of at Secret Service. But then you've got all these uniformed personnel who are pretty serious law enforcement officers as well, that are dressed in, typical law enforcement uniforms that also provide security for the safety of the president and staff and visitors at the White House. And both categories of Secret Service personnel were attacked by the dog. Now, what is interesting about this is that we only got reports, I think this is because we just asked through January, because we asked for the records, and you have to, there's usually a deadline, not a deadline, but a time period you ask for. And then, they're obligated to give you the records up to that time period and not necessarily afterwards. So we don't know, for instance, there have been dog attacks since January of 2023. And because we only asked the Secret Service for records, we don't know if other personnel at the White House have been attacked. Were ushers attacked? They don't work. The White House ushers, they typically are there. They're part of White House staff, right? You have naval personnel that also attend to the president and his family. I don't know, maybe we should ask the Navy for records too about any potential attacks there. So this is just like a snapshot of what Commander's been doing. And these documents are pretty astonishing. And, even the media, it's hard to break through the media when it comes, especially to stories that make Joe Biden, look terrible, which he does in this case, because the abuse of the Secret Service is really unforgivable here. But here's some coverage we had on this big release.
A conservative group, Judicial Watch, sued the Department of Homeland Security to obtain internal Secret Service records related to dog bites.
Commander, the Biden's German Shepherd, bit or attacked Secret Service agents stationed at the White House 10 times in a 4-month period. It was all revealed in records obtained by the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch.
According to FOIA documents obtained by Judicial Watch, Commander, this is serious, bit Secret Service agents 10 times over the course of 4 months.
We have learned about this because the conservative group Judicial Watch filed legal papers to get through Freedom of Information Act some of the communications and emails and so forth of the Secret Service.
This is all according to newly obtained emails by a conservative activist group that have been verified by ABC News. And one of those emails back in October, the Secret Service warned that the German Shepherd was exhibiting extremely aggressive behavior, even charging at a Secret Service officer, saying that the First Lady could not regain control of the dog.
And that's the headline from the Washington Post, which broke the story. So it's big news. And, obviously it's big news because, everyone has an opinion on dogs, right? And dogs that bite people. But I just want you to take a step back and think, if you had and many of you probably have dogs or have lived around dogs, or, we all love dogs. Most people do, at least. If your dog bit someone 6 times, bit people up 6 times, you wouldn't have the dog anymore. And I dare say it, if your dog bit people 6 times, you'd remove the dog from your home. You wouldn't have to be told by animal control officials, animal welfare officials, this dog is dangerous, you have to remove it. You would voluntarily do it on your own. Not the Bidens. 6 bites, 10 attacks. And when you hear the details, you're going to think, what is, as I said, what is going on over there? On November 3rd, a Secret Service official emails colleagues in the Presidential Protective Division. Commander, bite, uniformed division officer, redacted, at post, redacted. So they keep that secret 2 times. 1 time in the upper right arm and a second bite on the officer's thigh. White House Medical treated the officer and made the decision to have him transported to the hospital. So some of that information is redacted, what hospital and such. An email later that day from a captain of the uniformed division, whose name is redacted, states he was advised that the dog was up to date on all vaccines, as if I guess that's some reassurance to the poor officer who was bitten. A November 4th email adds details regarding the previous day's attack. A division officer, after being bitten in the arm and the thigh, as we talked about, had to use a steel cart to shield himself from another attack. And a lot of this is redacted. I'm just going to read. I'm going to pretend there's no redactions here and read through it. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand what I'm saying. Officer advised that commander came down the stairs and walked toward blank. Officer advised blank was sitting with arms crossed, and the commander bit his arm in the tricep area, which is here. And when he stood up, commander bit him in the leg, in the quad area. The officer stated the usher did not control the dog and was telling officer to not back up. Officer advised that commander came after him again, and he had to use a steel cart to shield himself from another attack. Officer advised he was in considerable amount of pain. I want you to imagine, so the usher is obviously around this dog. So the White House ushers are basically the personnel that maintain the residence of the White House and provide services to the first family. It's a thankless, important task. And they're obviously trying to manage this dog. The dog attacks the Secret Service officer, not once but twice. He bites him in the arm. He stands up, he bites him in the leg. The usher is panicking, saying, don't back up, and the officer eventually has to get behind a steel cart to protect himself from bitten by the darn dog again. What a nightmare. And of course, that officer had to be placed on restricted duty status for 3 days on the advice of doctors. Then a subsequent exchange, there's an officer, they're talking about the attack victim is involved in this email exchange. Doing all right, his colleague asks. That's freaking crazy, that stupid dog, rolling my eyes, he writes. The victim replies, my leg and arm still hurt. He bit me twice and ran at me twice. The colleague replies, what a joke, blank. If it wasn't their dog, he would have already been put down. Freaking clown needs a muzzle. Hope you get to feeling better. And that's important, because I think all of these officers are armed. At least I hope they're armed. And they are lucky that the dog hasn't been shot. And of course, once a weapon is drawn, all bets are off about other injuries to other people as well, as someone is moving to defend themselves from this vicious dog. I mean, that was the concern with Major, that he was going to get shot, and it was going to be a nightmare for the family and the nation that the dog had to be shot. And what is going on in the White House that this is being allowed? And I don't mean allowed in the sense that, Joe's saying sick, but this is happening. It's Biden's family dog. They have to know this is happening. Of course, the documents show that they did know it was happening. There was an earlier attack. Again, this is an assistant special agent in charge of the Presidential Protect Division with the subject line commander. For your situational awareness, this evening, blank took commander outside for his usual dog walk through the rose garden. As commander moved through the palm room doors, he inflicted a friendly soft bite on a special agent's forearm as blank held the door open. Now, a friendly soft bite, that's a terrible way of putting it. I want to go on the record. I don't want any dog giving me a friendly soft bite. No. I mean, maybe a puppy could do that, right? But not a German Shepherd. No, certainly not the age that this dog was. Afterwards, the special agent told Special Agent Blank Whip had no skin was broken from the bite, and his business suit was not ripped in any way. So obviously, if it was a friendly soft bite, there wouldn't be a concern about potential damage to his arm physically, and obviously his clothing. And he was advised to have the White House doctor look at it, which he did. In light of past incidents, I just wanted to keep you all in the loop. So this is in October, right? So there have been past incidents. I don't know what he's referring to. Is he referring to Major or to other incidents by commander that aren't reflected in the records that we have? And then the response is that his colleague responds that he would brief staff on this issue. On October 5th, a captain in the Uniform Division of the White House branch of the Secret Service emailed colleagues with the subject family pet incident. At approximately 0706 hours, Emergency Response Team Officer Tech was involved in an incident involving the family pet. While the family pet, and by the way, family's capitalized, so it's obviously a commander. While the family pet was out for their morning walk, the dog jumped on off Tech and bit at his arm wrist area He did not suffer any injuries. I'm assuming he's a he, but I'm trying to read through this redacted because all of these names are redacted. The incident was reported to me by Lieutenant Blank in the Joint Operations Center and said that the emergency response team supervisor would be pushing notifications up as well. So again, another officer attacked. Thankfully, there was no injury, but they're noticing it here. An October 26th email, a few weeks later, Commander has been exhibiting extremely aggressive behavior. Today, while posted, he came charging at me. So a uniformed division officer is reporting this. The First Lady couldn't regain control of Commander, and he continued to circle me. I believe it's only a matter of time before an agent and officer is attacked or bit. And of course, that turned out to be the case because that steel cart incident I told you about. He would have bit me today if I didn't step toward him a couple of different times. It was bad enough that the agent on the detail asked if I got bit, just so you're aware. So I want you to imagine you're told, you stand here and you defend the President of the United States, provide security for him and his family. This is your post. And First Lady Jill Biden comes walking by with the dog. She's unable to control this big German Shepherd. And I've never seen Jill Biden in person, but she seems a slight person to me and would have trouble commanding a big dog like Commander, even if Commander was, quote, just being playful. But it's clear based on this witness, this person who suffered, and you can be attacked without being bitten. And yes, you can see here. And so this dog was, Jill Biden saw the dog nearly take out a uniformed officer. Okay? Nothing was done because then a few weeks later, as we disclosed earlier, another officer was bitten twice by this dog. It's worse. On November 10th, a Secret Service memo describes an incident that occurred with Commander earlier in the day. While patrolling the White House grounds, a uniformed division Secret Service officer was attacked by Commander while First Lady Jill Biden, again, was walking him in the Kennedy Garden. The officer was bitten on the left thigh and subsequently experienced bruising, tenderness, and pain in that bite area. He was tended by the White House Medical Unit and filed a workplace injury report with OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. On November 14th, 2022, a uniformed division Secret Service officer emails colleagues with the subject line "family pet," describing while at his post in the White House, he heard the dog bark with a loud, aggressive sound. He then looked up and saw him at the landing of the usher's staircase. I made contact with him and grabbed the black chair I was sitting on and held it in front of me while backing up. A White House usher stepped out of her office and climbed the staircase to him and took the dog up to the residence level. So evidently the dog is running wild in the White House. I mean, the dog just shows up at the top of the stairs, and the poor officer's at the bottom of the stairs, sitting in his post, sitting in his chair, and he gets up and he puts the chair in front of him to protect himself from the dog that's preparing to attack. And it was only by chance that there was an usher who got the dog under control. On December 11th, and Joe gets involved here, a Secret Service agent, a special agent in the Presidential Protective Division, was attacked in the evening on the South grounds by Commander after Biden let the dog off the leash outside the White House. So this is the initial report from the special agent. The injuries included a bite to the left forearm, resulting in bruising, and an approximately 1.5 centimeter cut and a bite to the right hand and the thumb, resulting in a 1 centimeter cut. I received treatment from the White House Medical from someone. The injuries were blank, and I returned to work the rest of my shift. So this is what I envision is happening, right? The dog is attacking these Secret Service agents, and the agents are going here to protect themselves, and the dog grabs onto the forearm or to his hand. Crazy. It is to be noted, someone else wrote shortly after this, this occurred after departing the family movie theater with Commander and family members. POTUS requested to take Commander on the leash to the Kennedy Garden. Once at the Kennedy Garden, POTUS took Commander off the leash to run free. I was present to observe blank departing from the Kennedy Center Garden to move behind toward the south ground via the internal garden gate when this occurred. So he witnessed the incident. There was another incident on December 16th when a Secret Service officer was walking from one post to another on the White House complex. He writes, I was walking across the complex and a dog bit my left arm. Asked to describe the injury, the officer wrote dog bite, superficial laceration, contusion, soreness, and bruising. Again, another uniformed division officer emails a colleague in December, late December, Christmas Eve, December 24th. Dog issue. Undersigned officer reports incident occurred on 12/23/2022 around 20:30 hours at post. So he's on post at about 2030? 6:30?
Yeah.
What? Oh, 8:30. Thank you. Yeah. You can tell I'm not a military guy. When First Family was coming back from tennis pavilion, blank having her hands full, being full, and no one else around, I did try to open the closed door to the deep room for her. At that moment, First Family Dog passed everyone towards the deep room. Having doors not being fully open yet, he bit me on my left forearm. One of the special agents and blank witnessed that incident. Fortunately, I was wearing multiple layers of clothing, so it did not leave any marks. And then there was a December 24th, 2022 email exchange that said matters of extreme concern. A Secret Service inspector reports to colleagues on that incident. I attended officials' roll call this afternoon. The dog bite issue came up again. Please see the attached email chain written last evening. Apparently, Officer Blank was written while posted at blank yesterday. So he's referencing this. Dog bite incident from Commando walking back with the First Family from the tennis pavilion at the White House. I didn't know there was a tennis pavilion at the White House, but I guess there is. Nearly every official in the room with me today spoke about specific incidents surrounding the First Family's dog. So I guarantee you there's more bites that we don't know about yet. The remainder of the email and the response to it is redacted, so they covered up what their concerns were here. The inspector's email is then forwarded to an official and uniformed division chief. It says, for your situational awareness, the Presidential Protective Division is being notified of the latest incident, but we need to address this issue as soon as possible collectively. And then there's a January 23rd email chain which describes an incident with Commander involving a technical security investigator who's looking into an alarm going off at the Biden's Wilmington, Delaware Lake House. So I guess they got guys who maintain the security systems, the electronic security systems, right? So the alarm's going off, and this Secret Service official, technical security investigator, is tasked with going to see what's happening. He was attacked by the dog when the house sitter opened the front door to talk to the agent. Commander squeezed his way through the door and immediately latched onto the lower right side of my back. Blank told Commander to get down and assisted in pulling him off. The total incident did not last more than 10 seconds. The Commander went back inside the residence. So-and-so was apologetic after the incident. After checking my lower back, there's a one-by-one scratch bruise spot where Commander grabbed onto and was bleeding, consistent of a scratch-like rug burn. So this poor guy knocks on the door, and Commander, being a probably smart, sly dog that he is, wiggles his way out and bites him on his back. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's horrible. And as I said in the release, these shocking records raise fundamental questions about President Biden and the Secret Service. This is a special sort of craziness and corruption when a president would allow a dog to repeatedly attack and bite Secret Service and White House personnel. And rather than protect its agents, the Secret Service tried to illegally hide documents about the abuse of its agents and officers by the Biden family. So remember, this is covered up, and it was only uncovered thanks to Judicial Watch. And this is not the first time the Secret Service has been abused by the Biden family. We have them being bitten by Major, being treated like cleanup operators by the Biden family in terms of getting, according to reports, Hunter Biden's gun records and vacuuming those up after his gun ended up in a dumpster. The FBI was evidently involved in that too. And of course, they ran that ridiculous operation for the Bidens to cover up the origin of the cocaine in the White House the other day. And so we released this information earlier this week, and what does the Secret Service do? Oh, well, this is what happens when you're dealing with families and their pets. No, it isn't. So you had the Secret Service leadership trying to mitigate what the dog was doing, and Jill Biden's spokesman issued a statement saying there's new leash protocols. What does that mean? When did they get instituted? When we uncovered this information? I mean, would you want to be around this dog while Jill Biden trains him? I wouldn't. And to me, it's a scandal in the sense these are federal workers trying to defend the President of the United States, protect his life. Their focus has got to be looking out, right? Looking out for threats. Now they have to worry about a dog biting him in the back, literally. And Joe and Jill Biden have done nothing about this. It's pretty clear based on all the evidence. And this to me is emblematic of someone who thinks the law doesn't apply to them. Standard rules of civilized behavior don't apply to them. This is the Joe Biden way. Oh, I get 10% for the big guy. I get half of everything Hunter makes. Oh, I can just lie with impunity about my knowledge of his businesses and the money he's making from China and elsewhere. I can walk in plain sight and threaten a government official to shut down an investigation into my son's firm with impunity. Yeah, and I can have my dog can attack everyone in the White House and no one's going to do anything about it until Judicial Watch steps up. So, is this Exhibit A for Biden corruption? No, but it certainly informs the Biden family approach to accountability and responsibility and how they treat their public office. Don't you agree? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.